Hello, hello. Today we have another palette that has also apparently seemed to have fallen off. I was looking at the receipt to see how much I had paid for this palette, and I found that I paid $15 for this palette. And I remember for sure getting this around the Black Friday time, so I got a good discount on this, and I went back onto the website to see how much it actually retails for because I knew I had bought this around Black Friday time. And this palette is completely gone. I can't find this palette on the BPerfect website anymore. This is the Gravity Shadow palette from BPerfect. This is the box that we have here, and as we can see here, I was kind of called to this palette because it's kind of giving mini cremated. Those were the vibes that I was getting from this, and I was like, I would really love to have a kind of more smaller, travel-friendly cremated palette. And by cremated palette, I mean by Jeffree Star. So I thought I would check this out, especially for $15. I was like, okay, that's not too bad of a deal. And after having tried it, I still don't think it was too bad of a deal. But like I said, I can't find this palette on the BPerfect website anymore. Where I can find it is on the Beauty Bay website. On the Beauty Bay website, you can find the Gravity Shadow palette for $22.50. It says it's a 15 shade cool neutral eyeshadow palette. Let's see, we've got some light reflecting pressed pigments, intense metallic shimmers, all in a super pigmented formula. Yeah, that's pretty much more or less just what it says. It says vegan, cruelty-free. Not really more information. Let's look at the back of this. It says 10 high pigmented mattes, 3 light reflecting pressed pigments, 2 luxe metallic shimmers. I wonder which are which, honestly, because I'm not sure if I properly would actually know. But let's open this up. So I'm going to open this up over here. This is what the palette looks like. The palette looks pretty much exactly as it does on the box. And you can see here we got like some little stars, and it's like slightly reflective. It's just a kind of simple black palette. You can see here it tells you the shades, the shade colors, the names. Not all that information there. As a reminder, BPerfect Cosmetics is from the UK. I believe this is from Northern Ireland. So I really personally like BPerfect Cosmetics. I am absolutely in love with their Stacey Marie 4 palette. So I trusted them when I bought this palette. I have some issues with this palette, but it's hard to put into words fully what the issues are. I hope we can talk about this and figure it out maybe in this video. But I do like this palette. I do like this palette. Let's open it up. As you can see here, we do have a mirror in there. It says Gravity. So there's a small decent sized mirror in here, and these are the actual shades of the palette. You can see there it's very sparkly. I feel looking into the camera now, I know I said cremated earlier, but it's really giving more of a Star Wedding kind of mini palette, because I'm looking at these brown shades. I'm like, well, there's actually I think a lot more browns than there are grays in here. But it's kind of like those brown grays that I really liked in that Star Wedding palette. And I just thought it could be that, and maybe my expectations were much too high. Because overall, I do like the shimmers in this palette. I like the matte shades in this palette. I don't know why I felt like the eyeshadow looks I didn't come together for me. So I did do a short where I was having a Saturday day out. And we were supposed to do like this sip and stroll, and we had like tokens and stuff, and you're supposed to go to the downtown area, and you're supposed to get like a bunch of samples, and it was just a drinking and eating experience in the downtown area, right? So my vibe for the weekend was 1960s, because that's just kind of when I like to dress up and look really cute. That's kind of the thing that I always go for. So I was going to do a 1960s look with this palette, and I thought that this palette was going to be the perfect palette to try and do it with, because there's just neutrals, the grays, the whites. I thought it really made sense for it. And I just feel like that look didn't come together the way I wanted it to. I don't know, maybe the shades, the mattes, are a little too powdery. But I wouldn't say initially or even now that, oh, these are really powdery shades, they don't stay on, there's no color. Because it has pigment. It does have staying power. They are a little powdery, but that doesn't stop it from like seeing the color from, you know, it doesn't disappear throughout the day. I don't remember ever seeing a single crease on my eye, even after hours of wear with this palette. And I don't know why, ultimately, I'm just not all the way like fully happy with this palette. I don't know. I think my least favorite color in here was this Cosmic Dust. So Cosmic Dust kind of reminds me of like, I think it was like cupcake frosting in the Star Wedding palette. It was this shade that was super crumbly and ended up broken, unfortunately, for a lot of people. And it's more of a topper, and it's very soft. Look how shiny it is. And it's cute. She's a cute moment. But she was kind of hard to apply with a brush, and it was honestly a little too sheer for me. Like, it's really pretty, and I think this would be really cute on someone who maybe would only would want, but also for it to look good of just wearing this shade. And for me, it did not work out. But I feel like this is the only shade of these kind of shimmer shades I had issues with. We're also looking at, oh, those must be the two. Let's see, 2 Luxe Metallic Shimmers. It shouldn't be that. It cannot be that one. It's gotta be, okay. So we're looking at, we have this matte shade up here has sparkle in it. This matte shade down here also has sparkle in it. This is one of the very few palettes where the matte shades with sparkles in it, if you apply it on your eye, I feel like you do see it when you apply it. That usually does not happen. The absolute stars of this palette. Okay, if you watch Teresa is Dead, you might know that she loves what she calls a Tin Man Dick silver shade. She's like, it's absolutely gorgeous. This is one of those shades. This is only the second time I've ever had a metallic that performs in this way. The first time was in the, I think it was the Olympus Vault palette by CXC Beauty. This is from BPerfect. This is one of the nicest, smoothest, like silver shades you will ever come across. It is so nice. I want to apply some more. I just think it's absolutely beautiful, and it is so amazing to apply. I love the metallicness of this. It is so pretty. A shade in here that I also did not think I would like, that I was very surprised to like, was, this is Force Field. And it kind of reminds me of the shade that I used recently in the Fantasy Cosmetica palette. So this one is, it reminds me of like, like pencil lead. Like, it's giving kind of pencil lead. And it is also very metallic. And I also really liked that. And then we've got this beautiful Infinity shade. And this shade, I was so surprised by. So it applies so easy, so well. And this shade, I feel like, is so classy. Because there is the initial kind of, do I have a pencil around here somewhere? Because I want to point at this. The initial kind of just basic kind of metallic on the bottom, but then it still has some sparkle, some shimmer in it, and I think that's absolutely stunning. It's so gorgeous. So even at the end of the day, even though you might lose some of that kind of shimmer intensity, you'll still see the sparkles on your eye, and that was, wow. I absolutely love that. I think that was gorgeous. This Access shade is kind of one of the shades I was hoping to absolutely love. I didn't have, I'm just swatching these to swatch these to show you, because this Grayscale and the Access are both shades that remind me of shades I would have seen in like the Star Wedding palette. And I don't think I have, I think they were easy to use, maybe a little powdery, but like I said, I just personally didn't fully feel like it made too much of a difference, too much of an impact of, like, quote unquote, ruining my look. They just kind of were. And I feel like you can keep adding and it'll just look nicer, but I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the color story perhaps didn't work the best on my skin. I don't know. I think I was just kind of underwhelmed by my 60s look that I did with this palette. I think I was just hoping for more. So that's why I kind of feel like I have mixed feelings about this palette, because individually, I like the shimmers. Individually, I like the matte shades in here. I don't have a problem with the color story. I think the packaging's, you know, nice and simple. I don't have any gripe with the packaging. I just don't know why this didn't come together for me. And I think it's just a reminder that not everything is for you, and just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's a bad product, because I can't sit here and say I feel like this is a bad product. I try to watch 2 other people's reviews of this palette to try and see what their thoughts were on this palette. Didn't really give me too much information to really influence my feelings and thoughts on this palette. One of the gals did mention, you know, this isn't reinventing the wheel. This isn't a new color story, but it is a unique color story. You don't see this color story very often. I don't think, Someone did mention maybe that the mattes are a little powdery, which is why I'm mentioning it. I'm wondering if maybe that's what my, you know, overall issue is that I might not be aware of. But I do like this palette. I think for $15, which is the price that I got it at, I don't think it's that bad. I think that it's very classy. I think it's the top of the tier. How to explain it? Like, for someone who may not be very, who may not have had a lot of time to play with shimmers and is learning to play with shimmers, I feel like these are really good because a lot of the shades in here are just very metallic. And so you get that shine, that sparkle, without maybe the super intensity of like a duochrome or something. They're very cool neutral shades. I am a neutral girl, so like I said, I'm expecting to love this a lot more than I ended up liking it. Maybe these cool tones aren't for me. I don't know. But I mean, I do recommend this palette. I think that if you're interested in this palette, you should try it out. It's got 15 shades in it. I got 15 shades for $15 on my end. You can still buy it right now for $22.50, which for $22, I don't think this is too bad of a buy, because I think this is like an everyday palette. I think over here on this side, you have shades that are more of like the day, and then you have these two rows over here, which I think can be switched off to the night. But it's, you know, I don't think this is a bad palette. I just personally am not in love with this palette, but I'm not going to sit here and bash this palette to you guys if you guys are interested in it, because like this white shade right here, Weightless, is one of the better white matte shades that I've tried. A lot of whites kind of end up disappearing and they end up turning just into like a powder. And here you can see it actually has like pigment. It's not just like a shade, and you can keep packing it on and working with it as you want, but it actually appears. There's a lot of shades like maybe this shade that kind of end up just, because it's just a buffer. You may not really see it, and it ends up kind of disappearing, but I think overall you can see a lot of these shades. I think that the pigment in here is really good for the price. I do approve of the shimmers. I do like the shimmers, maybe minus this one because maybe it's a little too transparent for me, but other than that, I do like this palette. I really do. I recommend it if you're interested in it, but I think I'm going to pass this over to a buddy of mine if you would like it, because it does have some beautiful neutral shades in here. Again, approve of the shimmers. I think these are gorgeous shimmers, but it's going to be a pass personally for me. But what do you guys think? What do you think of this color story?